All right. Hey everyone, Economic Ninja here. I want to talk today about what is holding most cryptocurrency investors back, whether it's you're buying Bitcoin, XRP, sad to say, even Fartcoin. And it's holding people back from making a lot of money. Now, I'm going to give some pretty solid, in my opinion, ideas for you to absolutely crush it trading these things. And this exact same thing works for stocks. But first, I have to tell you a story. And it happened yesterday. I just found myself being ripped off by a Uber driver, a Lyft driver. One of those things where there's two places you can pick up from a large structure, and they just, say, "Hey, I want you to pick me up here. It's where I wanted." They said, "No, you said another place." I'm trying to screenshot. "No, here it is," and they speed off, right? So they get the money and get the jam. Well, I'm looking for a new ride to get to where I was going, and a subscriber picked me up. He was driving a cab, and he gave me a lift. Didn't want any money. Obviously, I couldn't do that. I'm trying to get to it right now, the video of this, and I just want to play a little section of it for you. Let's see this really quick here.
Just got ripped off by an Uber driver. It was a really interesting scam. I'm at Caesar's Palace, and Uber says, "Hey, meet at the valet." And the Uber driver.
Let's just, sorry, Chizo. Come on, Ninja, get it together.
Texting back and forth.
I just want to show you this gentleman right here.
By Michael. And Michael's like, he's got his phone. Say hi, Michael. Hey, how you guys doing? And he's got his phone out. He's like, "Hey."
I won't play the whole thing for you, but what happened was this nice gentleman picked me up. He's a follower of the channel, and he says he's been trading stocks for quite some time, and he'd purchased some courses on buying stocks. And I started asking him some pretty probing questions like, how much is he up? What's it like trading? Did he feel like his training made him a better trader? So first off, he bought one of the courses from Johnny Bravo. I'm sure all you guys know who he is. Type 1 if you guys know Jay Bravo. Friend of mine, good friend of mine, actually. And I asked him if he was trading crypto, and he said no because it scared him. I said, I totally understand that. But he said, over the years, he's down a lot. Over many years, he's put in a lot of money and he's down. And there's a couple reasons why that is. Now, first, I believe that everyone should understand not only the technical analysis, the charts. It's very, very important, right? For being able to do day trading, even swing trading, longer trades, things like that. When you're looking at certain moving averages, like the 200-day moving average, right? When you know that you're above it, you have a very high chance closing above a 200-day moving average. You have a good chance, probability like 80% if it's moving higher. When you're below that, you have a very serious 80% probability of it going lower. But I think people need to not only know the technical analysis, the TA side of anything, stocks or crypto, but also you need to have a long-term thought process of why you'd be investing in this, whatever it is, in the first place. If you can't explain to me, and most investors cannot explain to me why Bitcoin is going to be worth more in the future than it is now. They cannot explain the fundamentals of Bitcoin, being that it's scarce because there's only so many that will ever be out there. The adoption rate is picking up, things like that. When you know the fundamentals of anything, right, you have a solid conviction when it comes to holding something either for the short term or the long term. And I think it's very important that people understand both of those. You need technical analysis and you need to know the fundamentals. The next thing that I think is very important that all investors should do, and if this is making sense, do me a favor and throw out a 2, because I want to make sure people get this. The next thing you need to do is have not only a trading portion of your portfolio. Like, let's say you had $2,000, right? You should have $1,000 trading. If you want to be a trader, don't put all 2,000 into it. Have a long-term hold portion. Like, you take $1,000. Let's say you want to invest in crypto. Say, look, I believe that the crypto industry is taking off. I want to go after all of these crazy either meme coins or AI coins, things like this, which I don't suggest everybody do, especially if you're going to, don't dive all your money into it, right? Because incredibly speculative. And these coins, a lot of them are completely worthless. They have no use case. There's a lot of advertising behind them. There's a lot of scams, right? You could also say that about the stock market. There's scams every day. We'll just look at the mining sector, right? The resource sector. So you should have a long-term hold position as well. Thank you so much, Brady, for the super chat. Holding a certain amount of coins over on a long-term basis. I've explained this before with my XRP holdings. I've always had a long-term hold on my cold wallet, right, for a long time. And then I had a trading side, which I actually built up to be approximately 75% larger than my long-term hold. It just kept building and building and building until this last September, I did a video saying, hey, I've made my last trade. All these trades were successful. I sold high, I bought back low, which means I bought back way more than I had before, right? In September, I said, okay, now I'm pushing this over to my long-term hold, and I'm not going to sell for a while because there's too much volatility in XRP. And at that time, XRP was 50 cents, and we all know where it is now, right? Hashtag XRP if you own it. Just let's fire up the algorithm. Thank you for that too. So when you have a trading bag that you're trading in and out of it, and then you have your long-term hold, there's another step to this entire process. It's very, very important. And that is taking wins and pulling your money out of the exchange. This is incredibly important. You know, I asked the gentleman that was driving me yesterday, I said, hey, are you pulling money out? And he said, no. And a lot of people, the scary thing is they start investing and sometimes you have a goal in mind. Hey, I'd like to pay off debt with my winnings. And I use the word winnings because a lot of people treat cryptocurrency investing and sometimes stock investing, like with penny stocks, it's a bet. They're betting on something. That's not what you want to do. I want to see every single person in here become a very disciplined trader and investor, both. Two types, a trader and an investor. And one of those ways that you do that is you have to understand and get that feeling, that sense of a win. When you buy something low and you sell it high and you pull some of your money back, hopefully you're pulling all of your money back. I lost a lot of money in stocks from the year 1998 till essentially 2017. I was constantly losing. Yeah, I had some winners and I was stoked, but by and large, I was losing because I didn't understand these principles and how to become very disciplined and set these guidelines. I've said before that I'm going to sell some of my XRP. I'm going to pull back twice as much as I have originally invested when XRP hits around $10 or $12. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people because I'm going to tell you right now, I know XRP is going much higher in the future, but I am going to be consistent in my discipline when nobody's watching and when all of you are watching. Because when you have those wins and you pull it back, like in 2017, I invested $10,000 into crypto, right? My first Bitcoin cost $500. My first Ethereum cost $50. Ironically, 1/10 of the price exactly. $10,000 turned into $100,000 in I think it was like 5 or 6 months, 4 or 5 months, something like that. I think around September, I pulled it. My portfolio was worth $100,000. I pulled $40,000 back, and I went and bought some silver with it, and I stored it away. Went and put it into a vault. And I told my wife, I said, look, everything has changed. I'm going to become very disciplined in this art, this trading and investing. And so you can never say that I'm going to lose again. And since 2017, I have never, ever lost on an investment because of what I'm talking about right now. And I really hope this is getting through to you because this can change a lot of people's lives. That $60,000 I was left, a year later was worth $1 million. Now, here's the sad part. I did sell some of it. I cashed it out, which was great. But the stuff that I held went all the way down from $1 million to $200,000. Okay. You can't, and I see this all the time. Like when I did my Theta trade, and I did it publicly when I first started the channel. Hey, I'm buying Theta, and I bought it really low. I sold it at 94 cents, something like that. And everybody mocked me like crazy. Who would have even thought that thing was going to race to 15 bucks, right? But I made about, 16 or 18 times my money on that trade, right? and I invested in something else that went up. It went to $15 and everybody's mocking and laughing. But you know what's funny? I know a lot of people that had it at 15 bucks and they still have it today. I think today it's at $3, but it actually dipped down into the 80-cent range. So I didn't rebuy because I had something else that I wanted to invest in. But my point being is that these cycles are real. And if you don't take a win and you don't understand, or it sounds funny, but you got to get that feeling inside of you of a win. And if you don't get that and you don't understand what it's like to win, because there's so many people investing that really truly have never won. They're treating investing in cryptos and stocks like a casino. They don't realize it and they're constantly losing. And it's sad. Type 3 if you get this and you don't know what it's like to constantly lose, and then also change your perspective and then get that feeling of a win. And it's really important. I think that's all I really wanted to talk to you guys about today. I know it sounds funny. It's just a normal video of me talking, but I want people to experience these wins and constantly stack them up. You know, the last thing I'll say actually, which I think is really important, is you have to understand how to go from one asset class to another, because every asset class has a cycle. The Dow Jones has lost 50% of its, somebody just gave me a super chat. Thank you so much, but I just raced right by me. Actually, I'll grab it real quick here. Here, check this out. So Miss Priss, thank you for the super chat. That's a cool name. She says, I'm 67. I don't have time for long-term holding. Well, you know, the sad thing is if you think about it with cryptocurrency, a lot of people would say that today, but if you would have just been investing 5 years ago, or shoot, even a year ago or 2 years ago, look at how much you would have went up. Long-term holding to me is a year or two. When we're switching over from short-term capital gains in taxes, the ramifications, to long-term capital gains. Okay, that's what I look at as like a long-term hold. All right. Then there's those stories where people are like, hey, I bought Apple stock when it was $5. You know, a lot of people don't remember when that was. It was in the late 90s and early 2000s. And after it split, they started to sell off little bit by little bit. And I think it's really important for people to think like that too. Oh, someone's asking about the links for my courses. I'll put those down below. I've got links to those down below in the description of the video. And yeah, if you want to learn about this, I teach like the crypto trading course. You know, I've got a team of people, 3 people that teach that course. We teach technical analysis, fundamentals, and the fundamentals really break down the fundamentals of crypto. And I really want people to know why they're investing in this. But another thing I want to say, I'll just go for it. Going from one asset class to another is very important. The Dow Jones has had 2 significant drops, 50% since the year 2000. And we have the mother of all bubbles right now in the stock market. And quite frankly, we have a bubble building up in crypto. However, it's a new technology, right? Because you're going to see those big wide swings in crypto when the stock market gets hit. I mean, we just saw the other day when the Dow Jones tanked after being down for so long, so many days, right? We saw a really massive drop. I don't remember how much it went down. Can you guys let me know? Was it 1,100 points or something like that? On that day, Bitcoin dropped as well. And also the entire cryptocurrency market dropped, all right? When you aren't ready for that and you don't have that cash position setting off to the side, which I did, and I teach this all the time, you don't get to take advantage of those drops. And when you have long-term holds, you're like, gosh darn, they just tanked, but you bought them based off of solid fundamentals. When they tank, you don't sell those. You now come in with your cash position and you go buy more. And usually the steeper the drops, the more incredible the spike, the recoveries are. And you could turn that into a short-term play, a trade, right? Based off of technical analysis, but also having those fundamentals. Well, when we talk about cycles, these different markets, I took money from crypto and I pulled it out and put it into a business that I owned. And then I also took some money and I put it into real estate. I've also done the opposite, where I pulled money out of real estate. I've sold a house and I put half of my winnings from the house, right, into Bitcoin. My wife didn't like that, but It was a funny art. I'll tell you the story. Me and my wife decided to sell our house. At the time, I was a real estate agent, but I was a horrible real estate agent because I don't like dealing with buyers that can't see the vision of making money. I don't know why. It's like beating my head against the wall. If I hear one more time, I don't like the color of the paint, but it's an incredible opportunity because you split the property in half. You could sell off the lot. You could develop it. You could split the house into two. I don't want to talk about the paint colors, but I came to my wife and I said, I'm going to sell my house and we're going to sell our house. And she goes, yeah. And she goes, how much do you want to list it for? And I told her a price. She goes, well, it's not worth that much. It's worth less. I already knew where this was going. And I wanted to buy Bitcoin anyway, because it was really down. I want to say it was like $3,500 at the time. And I said, well, you really are happy with that lower price? Yeah. She goes, I'll be happy. She goes, but don't list it for higher because it's not worth that much. You always think things are worth more than they are. All right. So I went and listed it for my price. Locked it up in escrow. About 2 or 3 days later, told her we got an offer. And she found out it was for my price, not hers. Everything was great until day escrow closed. And as I'm writing checks, I go, here, can you put this in our savings account for our next house? And she goes, well, that's like half of what we made. And I said, I know, because I am going to go buy Bitcoin with the rest. And you can't say anything because you told me you'd be totally happy with that other price. Anyway, long story short, I did say, watch, that Bitcoin will be enough to pay cash for a house, which it did within a couple of years, right? So we paid cash for our house, which was awesome. We paid our house off. So that was really exciting. But my point being is you need to know how to go from these different market cycles and take bulks of money. People don't know that. Like they get a win in the stock market. They're like, dude, I just turned 10 grand into $20,000. Well, perhaps maybe you should pull back all your original investment. So now you're just focused on your wins, right? Pull back your original investment and now find a place to put it, right? See here, Nicholas, thanks for the super chat. This is what Nicholas says. I hold most of my savings in silver. Would it be wiser to put some XRP, put some into XRP and alts right now and buy silver back later? So I actually have a story about this. So I've done this myself. My wife used to say, you'll never sell, right? Well, there was a couple times I actually sold my silver. And one of those times when I was flipping tractors. And I knew I was doing so well flipping tractors during the Great Recession. I want to say, I don't remember how many I flipped, but I made over $250,000 doing it. And like one deal alone made me $50,000. Actually, I think I made well more than $250,000. Anyway, it was a lot of tractors. And I actually went down with my wife and I took a monster box of silver, 500 ounces, and I went and sold them. And I got cash back. Now, at that time, that silver was sold at a loss. And you'd say this is going against everything I'm telling you right now, but I knew I was going to win over here at, I was down a couple dollars an ounce on silver. I sold it. I went and bought a tractor. I doubled that money. And then I turned around and I took the doubling, the profit. I went back and bought silver. And thank heavens, silver was a couple ounces even lower than what I sold it for. So I had a win. I actually got to buy more ounces of silver. So in my opinion, if it was me right now and I was holding, I look at percentages, the baskets, and I like to hold 7 or 8 different types of investments that do not correlate with each other unless there's some massive crash, right? So stocks would be one, crypto would be one, real estate would be one. I would bonds, cash. And I have these baskets, and then I want them in different parts. I also want weightings in different parts of the world too. So if it was me and I had 100% of my money in silver and I wanted to start investing in crypto, what I would do is start identifying cryptocurrencies that I could explain to people without a shadow of a doubt why I believe they're going up. So I understand the fundamentals, like XRP being essentially a banker's coin. They're going to be using it. It is a banker's coin, using it to transfer money around the world. They're getting contracts like crazy. They beat the government. There's only so much available, and it's actually the amount is shrinking, right? Those are sound fundamentals, okay? So I would take some of my silver, a percentage, and I would put it into some long term. If I wanted to learn to trade crypto, I would do a very, very small amount. And I know it's horrible because everyone, and I'm guilty, I've been guilty of this. It stopped in 2017. You see a win, and then you put more money in and more money in. And you keep, and then one day you get a loss, and it wipes everything out. And without pulling that money out, little by little, you're going to constantly lose because it slowly turns into an addiction. Matter of fact, You know what? Let me answer this really quick. Brady asked, why do I think the Venezuelan hyperinflation is not possible here? It's because of our currency status. Regardless if it's the number one currency, the main currency of the world, it has serious clout because of trade with other currencies. That's the problem. A lot of people, and that's why we've been able to stave off serious inflation after quantitative easing in the late teens or the early teens, 20 teens, because the Fed was able to print money, buy back bad debt, and then park it. And that debt did not move. Those assets did not move for a long time until they started to unwind their balance sheet. And what they did is they unwound it into everybody's pension funds. The pension system is such a horrible, this is going to go off on a tangent, but it's such a horrible Ponzi scheme. It's insane. You need to keep feeding that beast full of money to be able to pay people, right? But the sad thing is, like, pretty soon, you've already seen it actually, pension funds are starting to buy up Bitcoin like crazy through ETFs because they know what's going to happen with the price. Countries are buying up Bitcoin now because they know what's going to happen with the price, because the new administration wants to move in and buy up 5% of all the Bitcoin. They understand scarcity. Most investors don't understand this. But the sad thing is, even if Bitcoin goes to 1 million, which is going to eventually, you're not going to see that in your, you're not going to get more of a retirement. All that's going to do is shore up all the really bad bets the pension funds made. And once you start to see the world's financial system through these lenses, and you start to process this information a little differently, you become a totally different investor on a totally different scale. I've said, I'm sure everybody knows my goal is to be a billionaire. And there are people in my family that have really, they don't like hearing that. It's that, when's it ever enough for you? And I said, well, as long as I'm breathing, I want to keep winning. And if I can help people today, we can help people with our tithes. Can you imagine what we can help with at $1 billion? Just, that's it, And I've gotten to the point where in my life financially, this is just honest truth. I'm just a normal guy. I don't have any lack. And I go into stores these days where I'm like, wow, I could buy anything I want in here. I don't want it anymore. It's a weird feeling that I've went through. And the reason why I share this with you is not to sound braggadocious, for lack of better terms, but it's because I want you to all experience this. I want you all to be able to, let me ask you this. How many people understand, type yes if you understand the power of giving, whether that be through tithing or just helping people out. And just so somebody just asked me a question real quick. Live Within Your Means asked if I'm willing to buy, buy a silver with XRP. I don't do that because of the tax ramifications. I don't even want to mess with that because I need a clean ledger for tax purposes. So I do this very calculated because a lot of people do not think about taxes. They don't understand. They think they're getting one over on the government with Uniswap or a DeFi exchange. I really hate to tell you, I'm one of the 700 people that were honest about my crypto holdings back in, was it 2018, I think it was, when they first came out, because I knew about the tech that they already had tracking all of this stuff. Big exchanges caved to the IRS and they gave them all their data. And there are a lot of people that the IRS knows has not paid taxes on their crypto, and they are going to be bummed. And do I believe that there's going to be a day where you're going to see, I'm pretty sure our next president is going to make certain cryptocurrencies tax-free? Yes, I do believe that. And that's going to be epic. But until that happens, I've got to keep my ledger super clean. I've got to think of all these things. So anyway, everybody saying yes right now that understands the power of giving. It's super powerful. And I'm not joking when I say the only way to take our world back, our nation back, and our world back is if every single person watching this video right now becomes wealthy, because that completely destroys the government. If you agree with that, say amen. Do me a favor, like put it down, like, yes, if we become wealthy, the government is going to lose its grip on its people. And because the government's becoming a massive machine that is very hard to stop now. I mean, you look at the amount of people that are in Congress right now, just America, that are over 70 years old, all-time high. It's just skyrocketed. And we have people that are destroying, like Nancy Pelosi, that has a net worth of, what is it, $200 million? Which is absolutely insane, because she can legally do insider trading when they're putting people like Martha Stewart, because she gets a tip that something's gone wrong with one of her investments she sells. She goes to prison. Nancy Pelosi can stay in, because she just has to pay an $80 fine if she doesn't tell you what she has bought or sold within a 30-day time frame. Okay? Our world is getting very scary. And the only way to fight back, honestly, is to win in the money system. See, governments and kings want to keep you just poor enough to where you feel like you're making it. You got a new car, you got a fancy house. At least you can feel like, your neighbors, you got some clout or some status, right? You got that fancy Gucci bag or something. And but you don't realize you're actually drowning in debt, and you just can't keep up with things. And the only way to take that back is by becoming a winner and making lots of money. And then taking that money, and one of those things is helping people. And I hear it all the time where people say, hey, when I get rich, I'm going to help people. Like, well, if you're not helping people now with your limited means, you're not going to help people when you're rich, because money is just an extension of who you are already. If you're a good person and you're a happy person now, man, you're going to be better and happier when you're rich. If you're a jerk and you deceive people and take money from people now, I got lots of stories of people that have done this with me, and they think they got one over on me. Sure, you made a couple. Last one, a couple $1 million. Good for you. Man, I had to deal with that one inside my heart and my head, that's for sure. But the truth is, I'm 10xing that. And you got to understand that if you're not a giver now, you're not going to be a giver when you're wealthy. You're going to be a bigger jerk, a bigger thief. You're going to want more. And that's different from wanting to be a billionaire. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to probably still be riding it. I will be still riding a tricycle and making jokes and laughing about things. I'm a billionaire. Nothing's going to change about me, except I'm going to be able to have more resources to do more cool things in this world, like we're doing now. And that's the one thing, the one takeaway from this whole talk that I just want to share with you is, if you don't understand tithing and the power of it, regardless if you believe in God or not, okay? I just had a pretty interesting conversation with two atheists that we're staunch atheists. I'm like, oh, copy. That's awesome that you have a stance. You're not, and they even said, like, we're not even on the fence. We're like agnostics. We are atheists. I'm like, all right. And I even asked the question, if God exists, if it's true, would you want to know? And one gentleman just said, no. Okay, you're definitely on one side of the fence. I can respect that, honestly. But regardless if you don't believe in God or not, the Bible says, it's clear, God says, this is the only thing you can test me in, is tithes and offerings, which are two separate things. And if you tithe just 10%, then watch what happens. There are people that do not believe in God that understand the laws of reaping and sowing and reaping. Sowing meaning giving, right? You want more time, sow your time, you'll get more time back. If you want more money, you sow, you give some of your money to help other people, you're going to get more money back in return. It's not a slot machine, and it doesn't happen on your time frame. But I will tell you what, you will see a massive, and I've done videos on this before specifically, and I've, like 6 months, a year later, I've seen people comment, or I've met people that said, I saw that video, I started doing it, I'm richer than I've ever been before. Like my car stopped breaking down. My bills started getting paid. Extra money came in. Like, it was a miraculous thing. And I believe, honestly, the reason why God said that's the only thing you can test him in is because money has its greatest grip on us. It's why we go to war. It's ultimately why we kill people. It's ultimately why bad things happen. It's for greed, the lust of money. This is where, because people always used to tell me, a rich man can't enter heaven. Well, it's because the rich man that God's talking about couldn't give up what he had. And when you tithe, you break that bond to money. And money now becomes a tool rather than an idol. And it's an exciting thing to see what God can do with your 90% that's left over. And it may be less than that because you may be giving offerings as well. But I think that it's very important to break that bond with money by tithing. So if you got anything from this, do me a favor and just do it. That's it. Start investing different. Know your technical analysis, know your fundamentals. If you guys want a course on this stuff in crypto, I'll put sale links below. I'm always selling courses. That's how I make my living now. But I thank you for everything. So with that being said, the Economic Ninja is out.